This is Dr. Chris's Radio Horror Show here at 91.3 FM, WCW in Worcester. And tonight on the show, in the studio with us, first recorded in studio interview in many months, we have Amanda Dufresne on the show with us. Thank you for coming on the show with us, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
Amanda, you're a local New England person.
Yes, that is correct.
All the way from up to New Hampshire.
Yep. Born and raised, love New Hampshire. That's my people.
What part of New Hampshire?
So I'm Southern New Hampshire. I've been all over the place from, like, you know what? I'll spare you, but Manchester area.
Your artwork is both a mixture of the weird and the macabre and the like hyper gory or hyper just out of this world with the body horror with a hint of the kink and the sexual added into it. Where does all of your art and ideas come from?
That's quite the label. So my inspiration comes from just a lot of my own inner struggles, turmoils, some of my close friends, their personal struggles and issues that they have going through the world. But it really is about overcoming and finding beauty in darkness.
What you said it comes from your friends as well?
Yeah, there are people in my family and friends that were going through their own stuff, and they confide in me, being a shoulder to lean on. And when I listen to their stories or I talk to them, my empathy just goes crazy, and then I carry that, and in order to carry it, I kind of retell a story or how I interpreted it through my art, and then sometimes I even gift it to them, and it's just an amazing feeling that I can give them a sense of validation and freedom in their own personal lives. So when, for example, my cousin was going through a lot of surgeries and she ended up getting a couple botched surgeries on her shoulder, and I had drawn a picture of her, specifically her, and some scars that she always was afraid of, and then her bearing them in the picture and her being beautiful and perfect within that image, it just gave her peace and healing in a way that I wasn't sure she was going to get anywhere else.
Is it always like painful stories like physically, or is it also involving like mental health?
Oh yeah, so there's like a lot of overcoming different types of trauma, like self-hate or ridicule, things from the outside world that affect people, and they carry invisible like trauma. So for me, there's many pieces that have to do with, my personal one is self-hate, and it's hard to talk about. Aside from my Twitch channel, this is the first time I've ever really talked about these pieces.
Hold on 1 second, just bring that microphone closer to you.
Okay, and hopefully this works. This better?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Aside from my Twitch channel, a lot of people come in and we chat, but there are a lot of personal things that I carry about self-hate and self-acceptance, and it's my own inner struggle that I do share with the world. And there are many people that message me privately. I get a lot of love and support when I post it, but privately, people will send me a message saying, "Hey, I'm really struggling with this. Thank you for sharing it. I'm sorry you're going through it." And when people tell me pieces they really like, I always know their own little struggles. Like, it's an unspoken bond I get to have with the people who really find comfort in my work.
What is it that you hate about yourself?
I was raised in kind of a toxic household, had trouble connecting with my father. So just kind of a rough childhood, and so I had a hard time accepting my own growth as a person when you're constantly being put down and kind of backed into a corner. So it comes from my youth, but I've been recently healing, and my art has healed me. It's helped me through all my darkest days, and I'm going to continue to spread the word and tell my story and heal myself when I struggle.
Does each picture have its own story, like each character, like its own, like you said the thing about your cousin and the shoulder, but does each individual piece of artwork have its own, like biography story that you could actually write about it?
Actually, for the most part, yes. Many of the images I draw have a story within the image. And if it's not like that, like it's not a huge, powerful piece, some of my other characters, more like character-based, pictures, they have their own unique backstory. They are a character in a world. This has been something that I have been sharing recently, and people are starting to connect the dots with the more pieces I come out with. They're starting to realize like, oh, this character must be associated to this character, and this character is connected to this character. So by honestly popular demand, I am going to be piecing together a book about all the characters, where they live in the world, and what their stories are. And in tandem, I'm hoping to be working on a book about mental health and trauma as well, breaking down each piece and kind of describing some of the turmoil in those pieces.
How many different pieces of art do you have? Do you have enough to put together like a huge book collection?
As of now, I have quite a few, but I really want to make it a in-depth, like immersive book. So I don't want to just release it with the images that I've created. I want to release it with so much more, and things that my community, who's been supporting me over the years, have yet to see. So I do want to still surprise people. I do want to put silver linings of hope within each piece too. So it's not just the dark, the gritty, the scary things, because with all that trauma, there is healing and there is hope. So I hope that a lot of people view these pieces with that strength of overcoming a lot of the hell.
Where do you go to art school?
I'm self-taught. I actually couldn't afford school out of high school.
Just straight from high school into the art community?
Actually, no. I took a 4-year break because I was scared to join the art community. I was actually homeless in my last 4 years of high school. I lived in my car, and I was able to graduate, luckily. With that, I ended up joining the workforce. I was a manager. I worked my way up, and it was just a small retail store. Worked my way up into management, and then after about 4 years, I realized I want to do my art again. I want to, there was like a scratching in my chest. Like, you got to get out there. You got to do it. So I saved my taxes. I saved money as much as I could. And then after a couple years, I just said, you know what? I'm going to drop down to part-time. I'm going to start investing, and I'm really going to buckle down and learn.
Why just stay in black and white? Use the little shades of color, but not full color images?
So I just love the stark contrast. I feel like you can really, your eye just moves a different way across pieces that are just black and white. And for me, another thing is, when I was young, and the same thing with why the pen is involved, we couldn't afford a lot of art materials. I never got my hands on paint. I never got my hands on graphite. I wasn't allowed to explore pastels. So always having a pen was something that I just had. When I kind of grew up as a person and decided to join the art community, I just worked with what I knew. And it was my Bic pen and my piece of paper.
What were some of the artists growing up and currently right now that are influences of yours or people that you aspire to be like?
So my first real inspiration happened when I was in high school. I was actually a freshman, and I have the typical art story where it's like, oh, I've always drawn since I was young. You know, at recess, I was choosing to draw, and in lunch, I was drawing. I'd always draw. And when I was in high school and I had my first art class, my teacher at the time, Mr. Norton, was like, oh, you know, you like to draw in black and white, and your stuff is kind of scribbly and dark. Have you ever seen Derek Hess? And I was like, I don't know who that is. And he sat me down at the computer and he pulled up this guy. And that was when it clicked that art is real. I've never, as a kid, was like, I'm going to be an artist. I just kind of did what felt natural, what I liked to do. And then when Mr. Norton introduced me to Derek Hess, it was a light bulb moment. It was, wow, this guy inspired me. It was the first artist that I really absorbed their meaning and their work. And I just went through this, phase where I was like, now I'm going to draw just like him. And it wasn't just like him. It was just very bad interpretations of his work. And then I slowly find my own identity and growth and find out my lines. But Derek Hess has been a huge inspiration when I started. And currently I look up to Sean Cross. He's really cool. He does a lot of mental health images, and his stuff is black and white as well. Beautiful, beautiful work.
What have you had any of your artwork displayed in any kind of media, any films or anything?
No, I just recently got published with Aftershock though. I was a variant cover artist for 3 comics this year.
What issue? What comics?
So I got issue 1 of Bunny Mask, which was amazing.
I've not
Buddy Mask is about a ancient creature that has been awakened and going on a slaughtering spree. I don't want to ruin too much, so I'll just give you kind of the quick clips. And I got the first issue of that, and Paul Tobin worked on that one. It was a great story, had a really good response with the community. And then shortly after, I was on the finale issue of Baby Teeth. Demonic child, growing up, demons, just very fitting of my art. And then the most recent one, which is still being released, I got the starting cover for Chicken Devil, a very tragedy, comedy kind of deal. If you're into Breaking Bad, that's the storyline.
The Aftershock has such a variety of titles. I've seen some of them. I know Tim Seeley did a book with them, Blood Red. That's probably the one that I read through all the way through, and then they whatever the Noah's Ark one was, the Dark Noah's Ark.
I haven't looked into those ones. Now you're gonna have to give me some new stuff to read, huh?
Blood Red is about a vampire who's a World War II veteran set in the present day, but he fought in World War II when he was converted, who has to deal with basically Trump's America.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Tim Seeley, it's a very, very heavy political look at a vampire's point of view of the current day America.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and vampires hoarding Mexican border runners for food.
Hey, well, anything with vampires, I'm willing to give it a read, you know?
The other one I think is called Dark Ark.
Okay.
So I think it's about the Ark of Noah, but with like the mythical creatures that were aboard Noah's Ark.
All right, definitely jot those down. I got them notes over there now.
Do you when you're drawing, a lot of what you're drawing is, I think most of everything I've seen you draw is women?
So I do have a focus on female characters, yes. My community likes to tease me that I can't draw males, so every once in a while when I do, they all like to do the freak out moment, like, oh my God, she's capable of doing a male character. I do choose to draw females a lot, and that could have something to do with like the subconscious of me, just, you know, it's a little bit of me in every piece, but also a lot of struggle that is constantly going through, and mixing that elegance with the darkness. I feel like the female character, when you marry it with fangs and horns and rot and gore, it's still like, but she's pretty. You know what I mean? But so when you're always gowning these men with skulls and chains and rot and gore, it's just a dude, right? So I think in my own weird way, it is married the elegance with the horror.
Like Giger. H.R. Giger.
Oh, H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, Giger.
Yes. So it's like, because women represent purity, right? So when you corrupt that, there's a little bit of something that disturbs you. That's why we use women in horror, and we attack them and chase them and blah, blah, blah. It's all the tropey stuff.
Purity? Really?
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought it was usually like children, but I guess women. I mean,
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I think they did maybe 100 years
I think
ago.
the other thing is women represent a sense of power that can't be taken from them either. Okay. So that's another one I like to gown them in beauty.
Purity, yeah. I don't know.
Hey, I mean, you've got artists. You've got amazing artists drawing vampire women. I look at those nice curves and the supple bodies. That's pure. That's elegant. And then when you drip a little blood on them.
I wish there were more women drawing the covers to it. I wanted the whole book to be all female artists. Maybe not the cover artists, but the interior of the book to be completely female artists, and that did not work out. That was just impossible to find one to nail down that could stick with it, or that I actually really liked. Mm-hmm. So it ended up going with Ken, but I tried for several years to nail down a female artist for that book, and it was just it's every time I did, it just did not work.
I understand.
It was never about money. It was about like their schedule, their attitude, their personal problems.
I'll tell you
I was just
what.
like, okay, I have to move on. Your personal life is just slowing. Like, we haven't done anything in like 3 months.
Yep.
I have to move on.
I understand. Ken is an amazing artist and just really nailed down what you were looking for, though. So.
He did, yeah.
Yep.
But I made sure that like we had like female cover artists on it, and especially like when we went to retail, there was like a lot more. There's a lot more cover artists for the retail version than there were the Kickstarter version. There was like 1 female cover artist for the Kickstarter version, and then we've had like 3 females, and then we're gonna have an actress, Sarah French, do the cosplay cover finally.
Oh, nice.
So when she just got done filming some sci-fi movie, and then she's gonna start another production, but as the beginning of December, she has like December off, so that's when she does like 1 or 2 day photo shoots.
There you go. Swoop in, get that spot filled.
When you're doing just the headshots, do you find it easier than doing like something with like landscape? Like this is one with the whatever's going on in the background here.
Oh, you're looking at a piece from like 2009. You're crazy. So.
I can see the difference between this and that.
Yes. So I do enjoy doing like the portraits. I like really nailed the face and the anatomy down, and then I recently started moving into full body pieces and exploring background pieces. Coming out with my world with all my junk bots and demon mechs, I'm actually going to have to be more confident, and I'm working on a lot of hellscapes, I should say. So you will be seeing more landscapes from me. I'm just kind of keeping them under wraps until I'm able to share more about the story and the project.
You're on Twitch as a partner for something?
Yes, I'm a partner on Twitch. It just means there's a check mark next to my name. It's verified symbol. It's saying, hey, we like this person. Hey, this person gets a lot of attention. And hey, you should watch them too.
Do you do live drawings on Twitch?
Yes, I do.
Gaming and drawing.
No, so I do live drawings on Twitch full time. I then edit the videos to upload them on YouTube. So I do them as a time lapse, but I'll spend a couple hours a day on Twitch drawing. Recently, I kind of like fell away from it, doing to the published work, kind of taking the front because I can't draw the covers live. I have to keep those under wraps until the release dates. But now that my work is kind of settled down, I'm able to get back to stream and focus on that and really just share my art again and get back to the community that hangs out with me for hours and cheers me on. It's a really good time.
How often do you have to rip something up and start all over again?
Well, that's a tricky one because I think the amount of abandoned pieces is much higher than the ones that I actually throw in the garbage. But I do get frustrated, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get rid of this one. I got to get it off my desk, and it's got to go in the trash, or I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. So, but there are pieces that I'll start, and then they end up in an unfinished pile because I feel more inspired to follow another thing through.
How often does that happen when it comes to blank covers?
Oh, never. It can't happen when it comes to blank covers. That's why they become, blank covers. I thought you meant the published covers. I'm so sorry.
Like the blank comic book covers.
The blank comic book covers. I recently did a couple that I had to start over. One of them, the Spider-Gwen I was working on, I actually drew the Spider-Gwen and I totally didn't like it. So I just scrapped it and redrew it. And then I worked on another one, the Zombie Tramp. I was drawing her. And then again, I was like, just don't like it, so I had to just scrap it. So I get at least like one rough out, and then I'm like, not good enough, set the bar higher, and then do it again.
Do you draw it first on something else, and then just redraw what you just did?
Sometimes I'll do a thumbnail, but then there are times where I feel really confident, and then when I start seeing it come together on the cover mixed with the title, because I can't move the printed title, I'm like, this was not the balance I wanted. This is not the image that works, so I just have to start over.
Do you... Have you ever had anything you've drawn tattooed on someone?
Oh, many, many times. My art at conventions, it's heard all the time. It's my number one thing is, your work would be great as a tattoo. Can I get this as a tattoo? There was actually somebody over the weekend, I was just at Rhode Island Comic-Con, as you know, and a man came and he had the plague doctor on his shoulder. But yes, people have been getting my art tattooed on them for many years.
I won't get a tattoo that somebody's not going to draw on me first before they do the tattoo.
Yeah.
I've only had that happen like one time, and I was just like, what are you doing? He's like, we're going to start. And I was like, but you didn't draw it first. He's like, oh, I'm like that good. It's fine. Now, it was a very black piece. It's on my arm. It's a completely blacked in piece, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So I thought about it afterwards and said, okay, let's just do it. But every other one of my tattoos on my arms, they have drawn ahead of time. And
Yeah.
it's, have you ever thought about doing tattoo work?
No, I don't think it's something that I could do and become akin with, especially the fact that I'm doing so well in the art realm that I'm kind of in. Going to tattooing would be a whole nother medium. I'd have to learn how to use a tattoo gun. I'd have to be in a studio, and I'd really take away from where I'm going and what I'm currently doing.
Have you ever thought about doing your entire own comic book?
Yes, that was something that was very scary to me, doing sequentials. I was like, but I research it for some reason with no interest of doing it. And then after coming out with the variant covers, there have been so many people that have talked to me about, oh my gosh, is this your art inside this book? And seeing people pick up the covers and just being genuinely interested to see a comic book that looks like this, I have flirted with the idea. But as far as like ongoing projects, I'd probably just want to do small stuff here and there to start, to see if it was something I could really manage.
Are you worried about not being able to draw sequential artwork in the tiny spaces?
Yes, and I know it's another learning curve because I'm an illustrator. Setting up a comic book page is much different than drawing a portrait of a dead woman who is rotting from the face and has beautiful flowers in her hair.
What about if you did do the comic book, would you do it like on a tablet or still all freehand?
I guess that would really depend. I feel doing it digital would help a lot. I think I would do it in a way where it would be mainly traditional because that is my comfort zone and that is what my viewer base is used to. And then I would possibly, when I say mix the digital in, like I'd marry it in a way that I would finish a piece and then scan it, put it in the digital file, and just rough up edges or make straighter lines straighter. Like I just kind of do cleanups that way. I don't go in and edit my current work, but I feel like if it had to be on a comic book level that and presented that way, I might marry the two. But I can't promise that because I would say maybe I do it and then I just stick to traditional.
What do you use for your equipment?
Nothing fancy. I just got like a tablet and a pen. But if you're talking traditional, it's just the paper, pen, and Copic markers.
What any particular programs that you use?
I like Clip Paint Studio.
What's that?
It's just like a knockoff Adobe.
Oh, okay. So it's cheaper.
It's much affordable, yeah. Especially when I don't main digital, it's hard to maintain subscriptions and like price points like that when it's not something that I crutch on.
Would you? Is Adobe like the top brand?
Yes.
Do you have like a Patreon for your followers to help you maybe get that? Like make a point saying this is not pocket money. This is to buy this program.
Yes, I have a
This
Patreon.
is like a $500 program. I don't want to spend out of pocket. If you love the artwork, buy a piece of artwork. All the money's going to go towards this thing.
So my current community, yes, they 100% know that, and they do buy from me. They give me the ability to test run t-shirts and enamel pins, and they like product another way. So the demand for digital hasn't really been there. They want other things. They want tangible things, or they want more of it. Like I've actually ventured into gold prints. More recently, we are working on possibly metal things now. They are asking for something, and I say, okay, here we go. We're gonna go this way. They're all there. They've been supportive, and it's been a trip. So they tell me what they want, and I do my best to listen. But yes, I do have a Patreon, and they are lovely over there.
Do you have t-shirts of your artwork?
I release limited t-shirts.
Okay, that's getting at your booth.
I don't bring them to my booth, but people actually were wearing them. And I caught them under my eye. There was a couple people walking around the show today. And I think that's a wonderful thing, too, because I'll go out to California for shows, and people will wear shirts, and my community will meet each other. People who've never met each other will recognize the shirts because they're so limited. And they'll be like, hey, I know you. You know me. We don't know how, but we're attached by Amanda. And it's a very fun experience. It's a very unique experience that I've had the pleasure of experiencing several times, and it's a lot of fun.
Do you ever had your artwork on an album cover?
I have not. I've had some people talk to me about it, but it's always been a very surface level, like, hey, I'm in a band. Hey, your art would be cool. Okay, bye, and we never talk again. It is what it is. I've got plenty of work, so it's okay.
This would be perfect on an album cover. you know, this is what I mean by like
Yes.
very Giger, like with the beautiful woman, but she's got like the hideous deformities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because Giger always had like Giger always had some type of like, you know, hideously deformed woman or whatever, but it'd be like, you know, something like Medusa alienish or whatever, or you'd have the alien like sucking its own human anatomy.
Yep. It's funny because I am compared to H.I. Geiger a lot, but I say it's like more like, you know, PG Geiger.
What's the worst criticism you ever had about your artwork?
Ooh, constructive criticism, or you just mean straight out someone being mean to me?
Both. Or maybe you need to be just like, oh, I don't like it, or oh, the boobs are too big. Or
So
whatever, something that
actually, there
maybe,
was.
like, nitpicky.
I won't use constructive criticism because constructive criticism helps us grow, and it actually does help us as artists and move forward with decisions that we're making and learning and blah blah blah. So I'm gonna go with just like something straight up that kind of offended me when I heard it, but more recently, actually this year it happened, and my heart broke in my chest because this is not what I like to convey in my art, and it's kind of the exact opposite. And when I heard it leave this man's lips, I would say it, I was heartbroken, but how he perceives my art is on him because art is subjective, and it means it's a reflection of something he thinks about and he's gone through or going through, and I can't tell him he's right or wrong. He came to my booth and literally said that my art is misogynistic.
How?
Because it displays abuse on women, and that's just sad.
I don't really see it as much as abuse. It's just a single character in the artwork that's, you know, horrific. I don't quite understand the abuse. I mean, I don't see this as abuse. She's smiling. So she must
See,
be
and
enjoying it.
so
Maybe this is abuse because she has her horn missing. I don't know.
But for me, like, again, and this is for me, and many people that look at this art, they look at that power, the growth. Yes, they've been hurt. Yes, they might be struggling. Yes, they might appear in physical pain and or bleeding, but there's a story there. There's reason there. And there is literally, like, you have to go through it to get through it. There's so much more to many of my pieces that I think can be very overlooked like that. So on the Twitch community, a lot of people will add other artists that will do inspired by. So we'll all be working on something and like, oh, I'm doing this piece and they're doing this piece, and they all like tag each other. Like, that is a community member of mine. They like to tag me to share their work with me.
Is that from Squid?
Yes, that is from Squid Game.
I only happen to know like the Zero and the Face of thing. I've not watched it, and then after watching the trailer, I was just like, oh, I really don't want to watch this. There's other things on Netflix. Why is everyone obsessed with this show?
That is Circle Gang.
Yeah. Okay. I did not get into that show when it came on. That and Tiger King, I just didn't get into it.
That's fair.
I was like, there's other things on streaming to get into. I'll hate watch I Know What You Did Last Summer instead.
I can't say much because I am an offender of watching bad TV. So if my community is listening to this, they know that I'm the one that's watching like 90 Day Fiancé on repeat. And they're like, Amanda, stop that. You don't even like that show.
That is terrible. That's just, yeah, no. I can't stand reality TV shows, so a horror show about a reality TV show.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. Why is there this? I saw the trailer and I was just like, I don't get this. But I saw a bunch of people like dressed up for Halloween.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what are you supposed to be? Because they're like carried on briefcases or something like that. Or I got
The cards. I saw it. We saw it.
Somebody was gonna hand me a card at my table when I was in Salem, but I didn't know what he was. He was just like, "Oh, you won't get it then." Like, it's a waste for you. And I was just like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh, from Squid Game." It's like, "You're right.
You're right. That's for someone else."
Yeah, I'm not gonna get it. So, this looks like it hurts for this woman. She has like horns coming out of her eyes.
Yes. Actually, that piece is one of my more recent pieces, and I really like that piece because it is about overcoming like things that threaten you and that challenge you, because the thing that is the dagger that essentially pointing at her throat, she seems more like welcoming to it.
Oh.
And if you look into her hair, she wears the other ones like bobby pins. So within time, she knows whatever is trying to kill her actually isn't even a danger to her, and she'll be wearing it as a war trophy soon.
It's very Cenobite-ish. Then what's going on with this one? With the horns and chains? Is that supposed to be like bondage of some kind?
Nope. So she's actually part of a war, and this is a character that will be in one of my future books. But she was in a war, and she was created by people. But she was also, after the war and after the human race was wiped out, she was taken back by the earth. So there is a colored version of her. I have a colorist. I don't like to color my own work, and he's absolutely amazing. His name is Bulletproof Turtle Man. And he just makes my work, he takes it to another level. So hopefully there'll also be some colored versions in more stuff that I come out with. But that one, when he colored it, he had like the metal oxidized and you can see the green moss growing on her. It was absolutely stunning. So she's a part of a series that will be coming out in the future.
This one in the upper right-hand corner behind you looks like, reminds me of the bat who laughs.
Yeah, I can see that. That piece it's actually about like, so when you get warts, it's kind of like a virus that grows uncontrollably and you can cut them off and they can keep growing. So I thought, what if that happened with horns? What if there was like a growth of an infection that these demons were getting and their horns were growing uncontrollably and they can grow wherever and however. And that's kind of the thought of that. She's actually infected and is a feral creature and her eyes were taken from her. So her spine grew sensors and that's how she can feel around herself.
What are you currently reading for comics?
So currently I'm actually in it may be because I just worked on the cover, but I am reading Chicken Devil. It is very good. I do plan on following it. I went through and I did read Bunny Mask. Again, a very good one. I did not read Baby Teeth, but I do intend on picking it up. And I'm such a nerd. I love Wolverine. I haven't been reading the new stuff, but I'm revisiting some of my old graphic novels that I do have on the shelf, like of the Wolverine, like X-Force and Wolverine, like Sex and Violence and some of his origin stories because I love Wolverine's story.
Read his his original book.
Yeah. I think Adamantium Men is one of my favorites.
I don't know that one. After a while,
There's so many.
They keep when they started doing like a bunch of like one shots, mini series, and everything else. It just became very difficult to keep up with, and I have a hard enough time keeping up with Spider-Man. You know, and every time he puts out like a new one, mini series or one shot. So I'm just like I can't do it with Wolverine. I'm gonna read his original book by whoever the hell was doing it, and shit, I completely forgot the team that's on it. But anyway, those guys, the original book that started like in late 80s, that was in the early 90s.
Right.
That's good enough for me because otherwise it just becomes when these characters have this many one shots and everything like that. It's like I know Batman has like 5 different miniseries.
Yeah.
Ongoing titles, and I'm just like.
Yeah, in their backlogs, it's hard.
I'm reading like the one connected to the '89 movie, and I'm reading the cartoon, the one connected to the Batman the animated series. I don't need to read all the other ones, and I'm not even reading the main Batman title right now. So it's already too much to handle. And every 5 minutes there's like some new Black Label book coming out, and I'm just like, no, I'm sticking to one Black Label book at a time.
Yep.
And if there's anything I miss anything, I will find it in trade paperback later on. Superman vs. Lobo is the only one I'm reading right now, but that's also only like every other month. So
Right.
So it's easier to follow. Where can people find out more information about you? When's the next convention you're going to be at?
So my con season is going to start up next year in April. I'm good for the year now. Rhode Island Comic Con was my last one. I believe Fan Expo Philadelphia is my next one. Like I said, next year in 2022. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm all over the internet. You can usually find me by searching Amanda Dufresne Art or A Dufresne 99. I'm under all those handles and easily, discovered if you type in those few things.
And you have a DeviantArt?
That DeviantArt, again, is from the past. That is a little kid Amanda. You get off of there right now.
Yeah, there's a major difference in the
Yeah, that is where I started. Like, if you're looking at my roots, that is where I started to then where I am now. That is years of growth.
It's good, but it's not as good as the current stuff.
It's definitely
not terrible, but it's definitely not as stylized.
It's fine-tuned. I'm taking
like this.
time.
Like this right here, that's really good, or like this, the horn chick, or this, whatever. But that compared to that, it looks like two different artists
Yep.
almost.
I have an identity now. I definitely learned a lot. I've learned to slow down, appreciate the process, trust the process. The art didn't need to be finished in moments of you getting the pencil in your hand. Slowing down and just really trying to understand what you're doing and how you do it has helped me grow as an artist and really understand my medium.
Your artwork sometimes has a, whatever that, what's the name of that, photographer that has like the twisted, upside down views of like, not photography, but like artwork.
Oh, like the surreal images? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's like a staircase going one way and the other way.
Oh, I
like
see what you mean.
labyrinth thing.
Yep.
They do
The illusions, essentially.
yeah, I forget the name of that artist though.
Escher. MC Escher.
Yeah, MC Escher.
MC Escher.
Yes, definitely. Aren't you an artist too?
Yeah,
Yeah? Do you ever have a booth?
I have.
You have? Oh.
Yeah.
What's your artwork?
It's 3D stuff.
Yeah, I saw it on the Twitter when you messaged me. I was like, oh, he's an artist too.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you do comic book art too?
No.
Oh.
He's a storyteller. He does a lot of D&D stuff. He does a lot of writing. He does,
okay.
yep. And people have been reaching out to him asking if they can literally just pay him to run campaigns. So Xavier has a wonderful like vocabulary, dialogue. He's got that nice voice and he's confident. So when he's on, as far as like in his storytelling world, when he's describing and like giving you the meat, oh my gosh, people just love it. So he actually does a lot of my flavor text when I do, like I actually came up with a coloring book a couple years ago. It's a dark carnival, and he did all the flavor text on the side and guide you through the event. And people read that and they were like, okay, so the coloring book was great, but I made it interactive. And when they read it, they were like, I love the writing. I was like, that was all Xavier.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you an artist as well? No. Okay.
He's like, please no, please no.
Well, thank you so much for coming into the studio.
No, thank you for having
Really
me.
appreciate it.